Hi, everyone. Welcome to my book launch. I am so glad to see everyone here. Thank you for supporting me and mental health awareness. I am grateful to all my family, friends, past and present colleagues, mentors, 10th community members, and new friends for attending my first book launch. A special thank you goes out to Pastor Sharon, who has written the foreword to my book and has been encouraging and supporting me throughout the process, to Pastors Ken Shigematsu and Nathan Utangi, and Daniel Whitehead, CEO of Sanctuary Mental Health Ministries, for reading my work and for writing reviews. I also would like to thank Marissa Choa, who used to be one of our worship leaders here at 10th. She often leads with the Spirit, and I'm so glad that she has made time to do this today. To begin my presentation, I'd like to land on the word descent. The meaning of descent is the origin or background of a person in terms of family or nationality. And here I'd like to introduce the Lee family, my ride or die clan, or as some have jokingly called us, the Lee Mafia. Some time has passed since we took this photo. Since that time, my grandmother has passed away, and baby Jacob has joined as the youngest member of our family. My book is dedicated to my beloved family for their love and support during a year of unspeakable agony, and their ongoing support as my healing trajectory has been like a malfunctioning zipper, going the right direction, but not without obstacles, setbacks, and lows. I can never repay the love I owe to each of my family members who has suffered and continue to suffer on my account. The second definition of descent is an action of moving downward, dropping, or falling. My journey begins with a free fall into the abyss. It is only on hindsight that up until the falling, the trauma I had accrued for decades, including sexual abuse by a woman my family and I trusted, had already shuffled me to the precipice. I just needed a slight push. Life gets violently upturned without warning sometimes. It was the summer of 2020, the year of the pandemic. My sister and I adjusted to the upheaval, but a series of precipitating events, including my sister's job loss, a knee injured by a physiotherapist, the need to go on short-term disability, fears of how to handle my living expenses, church divisions, news of increasing death tolls, and the separation from my family in Vancouver caused me to spiral into a month of insomnia. I didn't realize I was ill. I thought it was purely a sleep problem. But once thoughts of killing myself persisted, I knew it wasn't who I was supposed to be. That was a sign I needed help. I checked into CAMH, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health Hospital. That night filled me with terror and dread as I heard doors slamming, other patients yelling violently, and the harsh lights shining through my room's curtainless windows kept me on hyper alert. My brother Peter had dropped off my Bible and a note. It was a tangible love I held on to as I grappled, for the first time, with the realization that I have a mental illness. After a long and horrific night, the presiding doctor spoke to me for several brief minutes, gave me a trazodone, and sent me home. No diagnosis was pronounced yet. Thoughts of suicide gathered like dark clouds on a daily basis. My family convinced me to admit myself at North York General Hospital for the first time. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. After a short stay there, I received care as an outpatient by Dr. Kostrginski, the chief and medical director of the mental health program at North York General Hospital. I was treated with many different combinations of medications, and each one came with their own side effects. No cocktail of pills could alleviate my treatment-resistant depression. The only relief I had was from quetiapine or Seroquel, which put me to sleep. Each morning, I woke with dread to face the day, as being awake would mean constant torment by my thoughts. I lived to sleep. The greatest agony was that I felt abandoned by the God I have come to know throughout my life. Theologically and cognitively, I knew his promise is he would never leave or forsake me. Experientially, however, he seemed absent. Many nights, I looked outside the balcony door and thought about taking the plunge off the 31st floor to end all my inner anguish. I had trouble watching this video of myself, and originally I did not want to present it because I feared what you would think of me. But I echo what David in the Bible said: I will be more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. My sister had reminded me of this verse when I told her about my reluctance to share um, this part of my illness with others. Now, if my sharing and vulnerability can clearly highlight God's healing work in my life, then I'm willing to be exposed. And yet, thin shafts of light that was unexpected would sometimes illuminate my darkened world, fixated on death as the ultimate solution. On one of my walks with my mother, I came across a message intentionally written on a snow covered stairway: Choose life, God, love. This momentary light gave me just enough strength to keep going for another day. I was readmitted for a second time at NYGH. This would be a much longer stay. When I put on the hospital clothes, as poet, priest, and academic Malcolm Guite describes, nothing can make you feel simultaneously exposed and discarded. I pled with my mother not to leave me. I would later learn my pleas broke her heart. My older brother Peter would take almost all the teleconferences with me, my mom, and my attending psychiatrist. For almost a year, I did not breathe air from the outdoors. Sunlight was only experienced through the intermediary of glass. There were, however, no glass mirrors in the bathrooms, as every precaution was taken to prevent us from taking our lives. I became intimately acquainted with every feature of the ward's hallways and recreation room as I spent hours pacing them to alleviate my anxious energy. Not everything was darkness. It is on hindsight that I can recognize God didn't abandon me. He was present for my mom through fellow believers who visited, called, and prayed with her while I could not be there for her. Chris and Jeremy loved us by making regular visits, dropping off food, and praying with us. Due to the pandemic, hospital programs for the psychiatric ward was at a minimum. Chris, also a fellow teacher, knew I wanted to bring more color into the daily lives of my ward mates. She bought a bag of art supplies and sent me pictures and instructions. Her love, thoughtfulness, and generosity gave me a sense of purpose. I led fellow patients how to fold origami butterflies, provided coloring sheets that calmed our minds, and we created lilac and sakura paintings with our fingers. The bare blue walls blossomed into a growing gallery, and the individual patients started to find community during these creative ventures. Who knew that tortured minds could produce beauty? God was also present for me through an African Canadian woman named Susan visiting her son. He is a gentle young man who suffers from schizophrenia. Even though Susan had her own worries and pain, she stopped to hold my hands and pray with me. She also wrote her contact info and a Bible verse for me. That night was one of the few nights I slept without anxiety because of her prayer and because of God's promise in the verse. For I know the plans and thoughts I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for peace and well-being and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Up until today, I still remain in contact with Susan. She could relate to and empathize with my mom. God did not abandon me. A complete stranger heard about my hospitalization and illness through a mutual friend. Her name is Nancy Xia. She suffers from bipolar disorder and became a paraplegic after her suicide attempt. After she became a believer of Christ, she has made it her life mission to help others with mental health struggles. For my entire hospital stay, she left recorded prayers daily over WhatsApp for me. Whenever I became anxious or afraid, I would listen to her loving and encouraging prayers. She was a reminder that Jesus intercedes and prays for us daily. Her prayers reminded me God still loves me. In the next slide, I will introduce a young man and a friend named Matthew who struggles with bipolar disorder. He is full of kindness and life, and his gift for playing the guitar brought comfort and solace to all the patients, including myself. In the ward, it was mainly Matthew and I who would play music and sing together. One day, he taught me a song in Hebrew, and the words resonated with me. We found joy in worship. Both of us were calling on God to save us and to be our peace. There's something very therapeutic about expressing yourself through music. He also showed me that you can sing a medley of different songs based on the ostinato bass line of the canon in D. Having his company helped the long hours at the ward pass more quickly. And I'd like to really highlight how Matthew is so talented at the guitar. And I'm still amazed at how he can just come up with the different songs to canon in D. So thank you for watching. In this picture here, we were singing together, and my mom has been taking photos of some of the moments I spent in the ward. The words here really resonate with me, especially the part where it says, "Return to us, Lord, our God, to peace, our protector. Cause us to lie down at night in peace. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain." In the next video, you'll be seeing Matthew sing various popular songs against the bass line of the canon in D. part where he sings She Will Be Loved. And he looks at my mom, and it's a moment that resonated with me because it's a reminder to me that my mom loves me so much, and so does God. Each evening after my mother leaves the ward, my brother Dave, sister Cynthia, sister-in-law Shulami, and friends Cherry and Barry would set up an online meeting for us to play a game called Code Names. This helped to break the evening monotony and to keep my mind from ruminating. The other purpose that this game time served was it allowed my mom to feel like she could leave me alone for the evening. The visual is a card drawn by Cherry, who is a talented local artist. My siblings Cynthia and Dave suffered from anxiety attacks because of my constant suicidal ideation. They shielded me from this knowledge at the time. It was during this time that my brother Dave attended a sanctuary mental health ministries course at 10th Church with Pastor Nathan. He wanted to better understand mental illnesses and to now know how he could support me more. Pictured in the slide is Auntie Helena with her husband, Uncle Otto. Auntie Helena is the editor of Herald Monthly, which is a Christian newspaper that is widespread in North America. She was a constant support to my mom and me when I was hospitalized and even for months after I was discharged. She would call my mom daily to check in on her and to pray with her. I am so grateful for her love to us. Despite all the love and support I had, the problem of my treatment-resistant depression and anxiety did not resolve yet. As a last resort treatment, Dr. Tugg recommended that I go through 12 rounds of electroconvulsive therapy, since I was unresponsive to many combinations of medications. The rationale was to induce controlled seizures in my brain to reset my brain chemistry. Prior to each round, I would not be allowed to take my anxiety medications, as they would inhibit the effectiveness of my treatment. I remember just before those sessions, I was scrawling in purple pencil crayon this poem on a piece of paper while I was in the ward. I thought to myself, well, if ECT doesn't work, then I wondered if I could keep going. This poem becomes the first one in my book to chronicle the agony and the anticipation of what would be coming next. I have little recollection of this, but my mom told me that after each round of ECT, I would beg to die. The treatment also affected my memory. There were some people I forgot existed until my family reminded me some details. However, after the 8th round of ECT, for reasons I cannot understand to this day, I came back to myself. I no longer needed my anxiety medications, and I just knew I was well. I understand that this isn't the universal story for people with mental health struggles. Many of my ward mates with whom I've become friends have been in and out of the hospital for months and even some for years. For whatever mysterious reason, I was healed. I was medically cleared to leave the hospital to go home. I had lost 30 pounds during my illness. I was lighter than when I was in high school, but we don't need to know how many years ago that was. For every pound I lost, my mother lost one too. She witnessed nearly the entire process of my illness. My mom was God's presence in the flesh for me. She visited me every single day for 6 hours each visit. She would bring me nourishing food and soup. Sometimes she brought extra food and snacks, so I would share them with my ward mates. Mom recalls that my fellow patients transitioned from saying, Min's mom is here to mom is here. I noted that not everyone had family visiting them, so it was a great comfort to them to see a mother figure in the ward. I am forever grateful to God for my mom. It has been 5 years since I was discharged from the hospital. The path to healing hasn't been linear. I still take antidepressants. I see my therapist monthly, and I go for long walks in nature to decompress. I don't want people to think that this is a healing success story, and I don't want to be a poster child for that because the reality is, since moving back to Vancouver, paramedics have had to come to pick me up 4 times due to me triggered by various things. And my family has had to wait long hours at the hospital for me. I have continued to actively work on my rage that stems from unprocessed and repressed pain. I don't want to come across as if I am completely fine now, because anyone with mental illness knows that the road to healing is long and complicated. When I first moved back to Vancouver, I was actually seized with debilitating anxiety attacks. In fact, last month I had a really bad panic attack and couldn't regulate my breathing. It was my sister who helped me to co regulate with her. She was calm and kind. When I had my early panic attacks, I remember Cynthia gently encouraging me and taking me outside for a walk. Parked right outside my parents' house that day was a car with words Psalm 91 on it. I felt deeply that God was speaking to me as it was one of my favorite psalms. Another time when I was out on a walk with my mom, a stack of unopened cards atop a trash bin caught my eye. When I got closer, I saw the message in the cards was, God has not forgotten you. It was a serendipitous moment reminding me God has me in his care. I started to make walking a regular practice. As I walked, I heard God with my eyes. He was speaking to me through the beauty of creation. I had so many unanswered questions about suffering that I wrestled with. Some moments I would cry, and other moments I would find immense joy. On my walks, words started flowing into my mind, and I would pause to type them into my phone's notes app. Using my camera, I started to capture the scenes that inspired those words. In 4 years' time, I ended up with a collection of 20 poems and a Google album of nature photos. I did not ever consider publishing my work, however, because I thought they were personal poems and I really didn't have the confidence they could connect with anyone. But some of my friends started to gently encourage me to consider sharing my poems with a wider circle. As I prayed about this, the thought of publishing my poetry and supporting Sanctuary Mental Health Ministries as a way to give back started to take root in my heart. I also thought about the characters in the Bible who would tell others of what God has done for them and decided to embark on this project. Pastor Sharon has been a major source of encouragement. I remember meeting with her for coffee and she said, Minerva, maybe you should make a thing out of your book, like a book launch or something. I responded with, but I haven't done anything like that before. She replied with her undeniable logic. Well, neither have you published a book before. And so here we are. A large part of my healing journey has been finding a new church to call home. I've appreciated and loved my previous church community, but I also could not bring myself to keep attending a meeting place where my abuser still attends. While I was living in Toronto, I would listen to sermons from 10th Church once in a while. After moving back to Vancouver, The logical thing for my sister and I was to attend 10th in person. During one of the sermons, Pastor Ken Shigematsu talked about Van Gogh and his mental health struggles. I noticed how he spoke about mental health with compassion. After the message, I felt compelled to thank Pastor Ken. In a sentence, I summarized my mental health crisis and how God was with me through it all. I recall his eyes filling up with tears, and he said, "The fact that you're standing here today is a testament of God's goodness and faithfulness." He asked if he could pray for me and my sister. While he was praying for me, I felt deeply in my heart that 10th would be home. Pastor Nathan, Pastor Ken, and Pastor Sharon have been open about their own experiences with depression, and Pastor Ashling has shared about her painful experience of being abused. I was surprised by how open the pastors were, and I felt as if their sharing gave me permission to share more vulnerably and authentically with others. In the time I've attended 10th, Mr. Daniel Whitehead has given some messages. Each time, his messages would highlight how Christ is with those who have mental health struggles. When I heard him speak, I felt less stigmatized and less alone, and I'm deeply encouraged to see someone care so much for people like me. This is the cover of my first book. The photo summarizes my journey from being depressed to experiencing deep rest. I was drawn to the waves on the side of a boat and how they contrasted with the dark blue depths, so I captured this moment. I'm grateful to God for his continued healing in my life. It is my prayer that those who have mental health struggles and trauma will know that they are not alone, they do not need to live in silence and shame, and that there is always hope. I will now do 2 poem readings. The first one is entitled Third Day. Third Day. As I take my evening walk, I observe an ancient dichotomy, a natural ikebana proclaiming not just beauty, but the strain and grit of overcoming life. Moss on rocks, life on lifeless, swallowing up the gray. Succulent sweet berries growing from a thorny source, pain mingled with refreshment. Tall regal trees, now sudden stumps, evidence of trauma, no prior notice of impending change, no consent given for this violence, and yet new green twigs have found strength to protest the carnage. Emerging from ground zero itself, can you say heroes? The pain has only served to channel new growth with new direction. The cottonwood groves convey a readiness for life, prepare conditions for flight, sending its future DNA into the sky, a fluffy blizzard in the heat of summer, children without number, paratroopers fighting the elements to claim their land. Roots regaining territory, supplanted by concrete sidewalks, cause a stronger opponent to buckle and crack. Fallen evergreen needles resting, creating a new soundscape for walkers, a final rest for a work that works. Climbing flowers, refusing imprisonment, push for freedom, a staunch refusal to be typecast. They can do their own stunts and will not be stunted. Life and life abundantly. This is his promise. This sickness will not result in death, but in glory. Wait a little longer. Your third day is coming. My second poem is entitled Interim or Enter In. Do I wait for rain clouds to dissipate? Do I aim only for the vista atop, missing the climb to see the sublime? How many times do I look over my shoulder and mull regrets and mischances now that I'm older? Will it be a slow ferment of discontent, or will I thrive and not just survive? Live in limbo or live presently? We have a choice, a voice. His name is I Am. Mindfulness before its popularization, present through presence in the present. Will I choose joy as a defiance to life's circumstances? And so I take my walks. Afar are misty meadows. Do I walk through them or wait for the mist to clear? If I wait for certainty, I certainly will not experience being in the midst of the mist. The water doesn't fear the rippling wrinkles on it. The lake has seasons of placid calm, other times lines of stress or worry, other times crow's feet from laughter. Water just goes with the flow. Get it? Nudge, nudge. So, why do we resist aging and scrutinize the fine lines on our faces? What gifts can we behold and embold when we're feeling old? There's room and permission for lament, just as the grass is weighed down by the downpour and leaves droop from the constant pitter-patter pressure, with space to sulk, occasions to mope, struggles to cope, but there remains a taste of hope in our hope of glory, battered by the elements, but we can also step up to bat. Will I wait until my scars are fully healed to live? Or will I live now, just as I am, in the strength of I am? So this ends my portion of my journey. And I wanted to express my deep gratitude for all those who have come here to support me, to support mental health awareness, to be here to learn more about my journey. So next, I'd like to introduce you to Daniel Whitehead, the CEO of Sanctuary Mental Health Ministries. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for the time that you spent to journey together with me.